Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Jarna Hector. Coming up, over $200 million has been invested in improving access to water. 60 apartment units in Emsall and Bath Estates to reach advanced stages in 2014, and 10 families will receive new houses in the Cottage constituency. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this.
Dominica is blessed with an abundance of water, but getting it to your home is an expensive venture. You have a responsibility to conserve water, to use it wisely. Remember the old adage, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. Think water, think life.
Thank you for staying with us. Up to 10 more families will benefit from the government's housing and sanitation project in the Cottage constituency. On Friday, GIS News took its cameras to the Cottage constituency to view the ongoing housing project in a small Kalinago settlement in the Capuchin area. Honorable Reginald Austrie says that this project is testament to government's continued commitment to improving housing and sanitation in communities across the country. The need for improved housing in that area was noted by Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit during his visit to that community last October. Honorable Austrie says without delay, the process began to facilitate better housing conditions for these families.
What you just witnessed in Capuchin is a continuation of the home renovation and sanitation program. We had a small community basically inherited by the Kari people, the Kalinago people, and the conditions were terrible. And so when the Prime Minister attended the Capuchin Village Feast in October, he actually visited those houses and immediately put plans in place to assist these people in home renovation. What we found out is that some of those houses were so much in a state of disrepair that you actually had to break down quite a bit of them and to build brand new homes with sanitation facilities. And so we started this project right around that period. And I'm very, very happy to report that the progress you're seeing represents maybe 2 months of work.
Honorable Austrie commended the work of the contractors on the project for their efficiency and speed in completing the structures. According to the parliamentary representative, this section of the community is not the only area where work is being done. He informed that housing repairs and construction are ongoing in other areas of the constituency. However, Honorable Austrie is proud of the transformation that will take place in that particular small community.
I must compliment the workers, the carpenters and the masons for the effort they've put and the passion and dedication in which they have undertaken that project. And I'm hoping that by the end of the project we would have built and renovated between 8 and 10 homes, which would be affecting about 10 families, and that would if you break that down to individuals, large families, you're talking about pretty close to 100 persons who will be impacted upon by that particular program. Now, this is not the only section of Capuchin where work is being done, but the others are more scattered. But that really represents a small community within itself. And we're very happy that after years, these people are in fact going to be relieved and most of these houses had no sanitation facility, no washrooms, no bathrooms, and so we're ensuring that with all these houses that we're building, they are in fact being built with modern sanitation washroom facilities.
A few families have already been able to enter their homes while others are waiting. GIS News spoke with Angelique Auguste, who now occupies a new 4-bedroom house for her family of 5.
I'm so glad and grateful to my government because he's turned as a father to me. Because if it was on my own, I'm unable to be inside there. So I'm so thankful. I'm thanking God for him, and God will give him long life. My house was not good at all, not good at all. Because it was, if a wind not blew it would fall on me. But praise God, I get one today. Oh my God.
Teresa Didier has not yet received her house, but is elated that her turn will soon come.
I'm happy the government will not build a house for me because the first house I did have, it was leaking, and in the night when you see rain start to fall, I have to move my bed from there to another place. I have to take a pail and sell her some water. So I'm so happy. The government going to give me a new house, and I will pray for him every night in my prayer because I'm so happy.
Masterville Matthew looks on from his window, knowing that soon he too will enter his new home.
I'm glad for the house. Because Prime Minister living in Dominic, pas de nous fait quelque chose. Et puis mon travail, vote par Prime Minister, et vous comprenez maman. Je dis à la pendant la pension, c'est le gouvernement là qui l'a carré de moi.
This project will cost in the region of EC $300,000. GIS will bring you more from that visit to the Cottage constituency in Monday's newscast. In more news, the government of Dominica, through the Dominica Water and Sewage Company, DOWASCO, in the last 13 years has invested over $200 million in improving access to water in Dominica. Government's press attaché Daryl Teet has details.
Since the year 2000, the Dominica Labour Party administration has invested well over $200 million in the delivery of clean, accessible water to the people of Dominica. Communities across the island which did not have any water supply before this time now have water supply.
Teet says these achievements is in keeping with country commitments to the United Nations Millennium Development Goals.
Under the Millennium Development Goals, where countries were supposed to have the access of potable water by the year 2015 to its people, Dominica has gone one step further. Dominica is set to become the first country in the world that is, to have 100% access to potable water. We expect to achieve that before the year 2015.
Teet stated further that works are currently ongoing on the $30 million West Coast Water Supply Project.
The ongoing West Coast Water Supply Project, that is a $30 million project, which will see improvements to water supplies from the villages of Salisbury all the way to Capuchin, and that project is funded in part by the European Union and the government of Dominica. Areas such as Girardel and Coptol, which did not have water supply before, now have water supplies, and that is because of investments made by the government of Dominica. So what we can see is clearly a demonstration that the government of Dominica is committed to improving the lives of the Dominican people by ensuring that the basic needs are available to them at their doorsteps.
The $30 million West Coast Water Supply Project is made possible through a grant of $21 million from the European Union and $9 million from the government of Dominica. In other news, a collection of poems by Phyllis Shand Allfrey has been locally published for the enjoyment of those who may love Dominica as much as the poet. In an intimate forum at the Alias Fosses on Thursday evening, Paulie Potable, publisher at Papillot Press, presented the book to the public. Potable says the collection is a pleasant reminder of the author Phyllis Shand Allfrey, whom she had the privilege of knowing personally.
It was January 1985, and I came as a journalist to interview Phyllis Allfrey for a profile that I was writing about her, because her book, The Orchid House, had just been reissued, and I twisted the arm of my editor so that I could come and meet her. She lived, I know that many of you will know, in this tiny little stone house at Copthall, the mill house and Copthall estate, in some considerable poverty and simplicity. She was not interested in material things, and she was a delight to meet. She was tiny, fragile, but absolutely indefatigable. And we dined on half a Frankfurter, some cold yam, lots of Hillsborough cigarettes, and rum. So that was my introduction, perhaps, to Dominican cuisine.
Potable says the island has since become a central part of her life, as it was to Phyllis Allfrey. According to local historian and literary executor for Allfrey, Dr. Lennox Honeychurch, the author spent much of her life in Dominica. In addition to poetry, Phyllis was also passionate about politics, helping Christopher Loeblack to form the Labour Party in 1955.
In 1957, the Labour Party was joined by Edward Oliver LeBlanc, and together with Phyllis, they contested the election for the federal government. The federal parliament, there were 9 candidates from Dominica for the 2 seats in the federal parliament, and amazingly, in 1958, Phyllis won more votes across the board in Dominica than Edward LeBlanc himself. I mean, her popularity was such at that time. And she went off to Trinidad and became Minister of Labor and Social Services. LeBlanc was a member of Parliament.
All-Free's biographer Lisa Paravicini compiled the poems featured in Love for an Island. Here's an excerpt from the book titled Salute.
We wanted to start with a poem called Salute, about her comrades, and it's a beautiful poem that gathers her feelings of dedication to the betterment of others, her feeling of brotherhood, and in some ways encapsulates the very essence of her political work and also of her literary work. The fact that she was a very committed anti-colonialist, a very committed anti-racist, a very committed labor socialist person in her political theories, and that she dedicated this her life to accomplishing these goals, sometimes to the detriment of her commitment to her literature. So,
meeting me in the road, he greets me. Comrade, rough music in that word, rude magic, in grip of clenching fist on willing hand. This is our barricade against the tragic, creeping decomposition of our land. Comrade, he says, and by my oath, he says, just what he means. We can break bread, blend tears, share work and conflict, go our different ways, support through our afternoons and years by certain concord sprayed 1,000-fold, like springtime in the country of the mind. We shall grow old and separate, but find always in roads and lanes and streets and squares echoes of old salutes, rough music, and rude magic. Comrades?
Construction on 60 apartment units in the Emsall and Bath Estate communities will continue in earnest in 2014. This major housing development is in keeping with government's commitment to providing adequate, affordable housing to the people of Dominica. The project, which is expected to be completed before the end of 2014, incorporates the construction of 36 units at Emsall and 24 at Bath Estate, with provisions for proper landscaping and access roads. The 2- and 3-bedroom apartment units are made possible through a soft loan from the People's Republic of China and forms part of a wider urban renewal project, which included the construction of the new State House and the new Dominica State College. The project is being done by Chinese contracting firm Shanghai Construction Company. Parliamentary representative for the Roseau South constituency, Honorable Ambrose George, disclosed to GIS News on Thursday that the officials of the Chinese contracting firm will resume work on the project later this month.
Construction has in fact started. They are at the foundation in terms of works, but currently the contractors, because of the tradition, they are on vacation. And sometime later in the month, work will resume on both sides. The gates are currently locked, and therefore not much can be seen from outside. But this is again a part of the government's intention to improve on housing generally within the country.
Government promises modern structures with a quality finish.
If we are to look at the standard of construction that we have been witnessing from the Chinese, I mean, look at the State House, look at the State College, look at the stadium. I mean, one can only conclude that the building in itself will be an edifice in terms of structural design, in terms of the finish. And certainly it will be something to behold in terms of the quality of the buildings. And any occupant of those apartments certainly would cherish it based on the finish that we expect from the contractors.
The Roseau South MP says there is already great demand for the apartments.
these 60 apartments, when completed, certainly the conditions under which the apartments will be sold or leased or rented out, that has not been finally determined. Neither have we determined the occupants, because I can say that there are several applications, and applications are coming in daily because of the demand for housing. And certainly one can understand why the government has to take that position in terms of construction the apartment buildings to satisfy, some of that demand.
Housing is one of the key platforms of the Dominica Labour Party administration. Faced with large areas of substandard housing all over the island, government took decisive action a few years ago and embarked on a major housing revolution program. Millions have since been invested in this important government initiative, which has seen the construction of houses in Hillsborough Gardens, St. Joseph, the Kalinago Territory, Bellevue-Chopin, Savon Pie, Chance Portsmouth, Stock Farm, and Granby. The housing revolution also includes a home renovation and sanitation program in which over $20 million have already been spent, directly impacting the lives of over 2,000 people in almost every community across Dominica. And while Carnival is known as a festive time, government ministers acknowledge that the event is much more than a time to have fun. According to Tourism Minister Honorable Ian Douglas, the annual and much anticipated season means the perpetuation of Dominica's heritage as well as a recognized global industry.
Creating numerous opportunities for our creators and our major players. It creates important linkages with tourism and other key sectors like culture, and it helps to build our national pride and our social and cultural consciousness. But to find greater benefits, we need to continuously work on stimulating new ideas, help in shaping a sector-wide approach that will ensure that we find success and bring greater benefits to all key stakeholders. After all, it's an economic activity. It means that we need, as a sector, to take ownership and to be fully responsible for making things happen.
At the formal launching of Mass Dominic 2014 on Wednesday, Honorable Douglas reminded Dominicans of a time when the tradition was very nearly lost.
We have made good at preserving of this rich heritage, and we can count ourselves lucky that in spite of the changes around us and of the challenges that we face to invest more resources to develop the product, we have been able to maintain much of our tradition and keep people excited every year with our Carnival brand. And when I speak, I always take the opportunity to remember what happened in 1963. And a lot of our young people today do not understand the tragedy that we went through. We almost lost the sensei. We almost lost mass. And we must never forget the 3 masqueraders who literally gave their lives on Carnival Monday it was, in the Carnival fire. We must always remember, because they worked hard before Carnival to build their costumes, and unfortunately they happened to lose their lives, Eric and the other guys, and we must always remember 1963, because Carnival and Sensei was banned. People couldn't use the masquerades for a number of years before it was reintroduced into Carnival, and we must always remember the sacrifice of those guys. And this is not easy, but a necessary means to keep our culture alive, and hopefully to inspire a new generation of creative people and to find innovative ways to keep it playing long after we are gone.
The island's Youth and Culture Minister Honorable Justina Charles also addressed the launching of Carnival 2014. She made a point of commending young people for their faithful participation, without which, she says, the art form would not exist.
Let me pause to recognize the significant contribution of the many young people in all the activities throughout the independence celebration. Without the involvement of the many young persons in all of the activities would not be as successful as they usually are, and we hope that we can continue to enjoy that success in 2014. So to the many young persons who participate, I commend your engagement in something positive and something to promote and develop Dominica's culture.
The minister went on to appreciate the other stakeholders who make the event worthwhile.
I wish to thank the sponsors, the business sectors for your support and encourage you to continue to do so. I also recognize the costume designers, performers, entertainers, revelers, all those involved in the organization and implementation of the various events. I encourage you to continue your effort to make the real mass the most original carnival in the Caribbean.
Honorable Charles says the event could always use increased participation.
As we launch Carnival 2014, I want to encourage greater participation in the various events. We are always delighted to have our families and friends from other countries to join us in our celebration. As I end, I wish to offer best wishes to all of us and all of those participating in the Real Mass 2014. Let us show the world that we know how to live. Nous connaître vivre.
Mass Dominic 2014 activities will complement the theme Nous connaître vivre. Persons are invited to tweet, share, and post about Carnival. And that's it for the news. Pearl Fontaine brings us a recap of the week's headline stories right now.
Hello and welcome to Flashback. Topping the news this week, Dominica remembered the late Prime Minister Honorable Pierre Charles 10 years after his passing. Government Housing Loan Boards seeks avenues for cheaper funding this week, and Madudux is Grand Bay's 8th centenarian in 10 years. The Drug Prevention Unit anticipates an active Drug Awareness Month, and the Silver Lake apartment complexes progresses well this week. Dominica welcomed its new Chinese ambassador, Li Jiangning, this week, and the AIDS unit says behavioral change is key to reaching the goal of zero. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, on his 10th anniversary as the country's leader, was described as exemplary. The APU's mental health team says it's committed to community care, and Julie Frampton, National AIDS Coordinator, calls for informed sexual choices. And last but not least, Mass Dominic 2014 has officially been launched. Those were the stories that made the headlines this week. I'm Pearl Fontaine. Back to you, Jarna.
Do you know which natural candy has a wide variety of uses outside the body? Find out next.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Nature's own candy, honey, can be used for more than just food. You can actually use honey to soften your skin and your lips. It's a humectant, which means it pulls moisture from the air and binds to it, making a great addition to hand and face creams and lip balms. Honey can also be used on your wounds because of its antibacterial properties. When used in wound care, it seals out bacteria and helps to speed healing. Those are just 2 out of many uses of honey. Take a minute to research even more ways you can make use of nature's multi-purpose candy. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and your comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here at GIS, thank you for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.